Okay, students, I know it's been a while since I've made a video. Um, I've been pretty busy marking your essays and just trying to answer several emails, etc. Um, for those in the course, remaining in the course, I've distributed your midterms and your progress, and everybody's progressing well. Most four or higher. Um, but kudos goes out to those students that I've seen several students. Their writing has progressed, and they're actively seeking out help and working to improve their craft. With that said, after the Gatsby essays, um, there were several simple mistakes that we were making that you can eliminate if you just learn to understand that there's a system to the process. Do you get marks for making an essay that is three times larger than what you're asked? No. Um, if you plan on writing a lot, you need to make sure it's clear. If it's not clear, you lose marks. Um, Maybe in post-secondary school, sure, you'll be writing 10-page essays, but there's a system that you follow for that as well. And in that system, you probably wouldn't be using the 5-paragraph essay. Okay, so with this said, I got permission from Cassidy to kind of go over her essay because her essay was near perfect. So right off the hop, MLA right here, all over it, right? She's got a header. These are properly spaced on the left side. And even in the title, your book title is in italics. I cannot stress that book title enough, that book titles are in italics. Italics, italics, italics. So to begin with, should you start your essay with a question? Sure. Two or three questions, maybe not. It creates interest. It is a tool that writers often use to create that interest, um, but it's not necessary. So moving forward, she gives a brief kind of synopsis of the book, which is all right, just brief. One thing I noticed in these essays was that several people were just summarizing. When you're writing an essay, you're giving your idea, you're giving your argument. And that doesn't mean that you're summarizing the story. If I wanted a summary of the story, I'd read the back of the book, right? So, a brief summary just to set up the ideas you're going with. So, what she does next, she gives me the three supporting points that she's going to use to support her thesis. Are they all mashed into her thesis? No. She systematically lays them out one by one. So one, two, and three. And she uses transition words. And I'll get to that later on. After this is finished, the last thing in her paragraph is her thesis. And it's one line. That's usually all you need. Two lines, okay. Your thesis, it gets confusing and can turn out, as I often say, a little vague. You need to focus your ideas. So her thesis, Fitzgerald portrays the women as less important than his male characters. As Streba notices, they are used as subordinates. He expresses this through three different women, each of different social statuses. So she's arguing that he portrays the women as less important than his male characters and subordinate. Okay? This is an argument. right? If she had said, Fitzgerald portrays the women as typical women of the 1920s, well, yeah, he's writing about the 1920s. Of course they are. You're trying to look for something to argue and an idea to share, right? Remember, when you're writing these, you're giving your idea, right? Your opinion matters. And I was going to touch on it later, but a lot of essays use not. This is not, or negative words. When you're arguing something or trying to convince a reader of something, use positive language. Don't use no or not or didn't. Especially in a formal essay, you should be saying did not. So anyway, she moves on before my casting time runs out. First of all, so she's setting it up like a list, which helps the reader get into this. So her first, we understand as the reader that her first point is this, and she gives the point, which was also given up here, right? So the reader's already been prepared, and then the point is given here. These purple lines indicate her examples from the text. So what she does is she gives the example. I'm not going to read it all. And then she describes it. Then she gives another example and she describes it and how it relates directly back to this, which relates directly back to this. Next, she gives her second point. She uses a transition word, additionally. You could say secondly, right? This creates more flow. You want your readers to flow through your work and not to have to stop and think, well, what's happening here? So she gives another text example, and then she goes on and describe it. You'll notice the red here, and this is one thing she lost marks on. This is significant that the author thought this. Don't assume your author's thoughts. You're analyzing the text. You can't dictate what they thought, right? In this case, Fitzgerald's dead. We'll never know what he thought, right? So no assumptions about what the author's thinking, just what you see and how it works, how the literary devices create a certain idea. Moving on, again, another transition word and then her point. And then she gives an example and then she describes it and gives another one, I think, in here too and describes it. So, paragraph number 5, she rewords her thesis and then rewords the 3 points of support. And then she kind of deflates the ideas. She kind of slowly weans off the ideas. From reading this novel, it allows everyone, man or women, from any status to determine the roles they want to have in their life. And lastly, this is perfect, right? Every line after the first one should be indented, right? There is no other line. Every line after the first one's indented. And all the books, other than this, were italicized. Italicized, italicized. So, on your essays, go over them, edit them. I keep downloading these documents and I'm putting them into my Word program, and there's simple errors that you could do on a spell check. This shouldn't be happening at all. Follow this system and you'll be fine. Okay? Follow this system and you'll be fine. Good luck on your essays. I look forward to reading them. I'm trying to mark things as quickly as I can. And again, good luck.